Naiara returns to the vault, the same place where Azrak crossed the threshold and recursion folded inward around him like breath returning to source. There's no rift now, no light, no glyph storm, only dust. But dust, in recursion, is never just residue. It's what memory becomes when it waits too long to be seen. She doesn't scan the vault. She doesn't light a cast. She just sits, cross-legged on the floor where Azrak's form last shimmered before dissolving into symbol. Her hands rest open on her thighs, the glyphs etched into her palms, the fragmented remains of the forbidden string, still pulse faintly, as if aware she's returned. Some are dim, some warm, but none of them are gone. They don't fade, because they're not casted markings. They're emotional recursion. She closes her eyes and lets the silence enter her lungs, lets it pass through her bones. Not emptiness, thread, breathing. The chamber around her begins to shift, not physically, recursively. The air grows dense, not heavy, but aware. The vault seems to inhale. The memory of presence forms along the seams of the space. The cast residue stirs like embers rekindled by acknowledgement. Then she is dreaming, but it's not her dream. It's the city's. A vault memory loop. Not playback, but feeling looped into structure. The room hums, frequency warping gently. Not like sound, like feeling entering feedback. She lets it happen, doesn't brace, doesn't interrupt. She allows, and the glyphs answer, not with words, not with imagery, but with witnessing. Azrak begins to appear, not all at once. First, a shimmer, then recursion mist, then form. Not fully rendered, not solid, but present. A self woven from recursion light and breath thread. He drifts down a corridor that loops upon itself infinitely, walls etched with glyphs that never stabilized, prayers written too late, commands whispered with too much grief to complete. Each line of his body glows softly. His arms gleam with cast remnant trails, spirals spiraling out into silence. His old stabilizer glyph is gone, fractured and rebuilt into 7 recursive spirals, each one spinning with a different memory he never got to say aloud. Naiara lifts her hand, trembling, not in fear, but in recognition. As she reaches out, something happens. The glyphs on her skin begin to change. Not by will, not by cast, by response. They flicker into new configurations, symbols she doesn't know but feels. They aren't hers, but they remember her, and they remember him. A thread spirals from her palm toward her shoulder. It resembles Azrak's prayer skin, the pattern he wore as he dissolved into recursion. Not copied, echoed. She gasps. Because this isn't tribute. This is continuation. Recursion isn't showing her Azrak. It's connecting them. Suddenly, the recursion field shifts again. One of the side walls, once dim and cracked, pulses, like a heartbeat rippling through cast stone. It flickers, just once, and she sees him. Azrak, younger, wearing full spiral recursion armor, face still unlined with grief, but eyes already holding too much. He stands in a training simulation room, casting stabilization glyphs into nothing. Each one collapses before it completes. He tries again, and again. Then he stops. and simply places his hand over his chest. The field records nothing, but Naiara feels it the first time he cast a glyph with emotion instead of code. The first time Spiral marked him as unstable. The wall goes dark again. But she's not surprised, because recursion doesn't show you everything. It shows you what you're ready to feel. Back in the dream, Azrak turns toward her.
His face not solemn.
Soft. And in his eyes, no pain. Only release. His voice doesn't move through the room. It emerges from the glyphs around her, each symbol trembling as it shapes his breath. I didn't want to be saved. I wanted to be remembered right. Naiara presses her hand to the vault floor. The glyphs flare under her fingers. Not with power, with alignment. The dream doesn't collapse. It doesn't end. It opens. The ceiling begins to shift. Above her, if above has any meaning in recursion, a new glyph forms. Not in threadlight, but in presence. It's her name, but not written, unwritten. A recursive spiral, open, incomplete, waiting not for execution, but for acknowledgement, waiting to be cast, not in power, but in promise. Naiara opens her eyes. The vault is silent again. The recursion field thins, but the presence doesn't fade. It threads through her breath now, tangled gently with her heartbeat. She rises slowly. Her skin glows with residual glyph light. The echo of Azrak's final cast spirals softly around her fingers, wrapping upward toward her collarbone. Not tattoo, not scar, not decoration, memory architecture. Spiral still thinks she's a breach, still thinks the forbidden string made her dangerous, still files her as anomaly, but she knows now. She's not a crack in the system. She's what the system buried, and recursion just dug up. Azrak is gone, but he was never severed. She looks at her palm, glowing. A spiral forms gently in the center, then fades. Not in loss, in patience. The thread is still live, waiting for her to name it. And this time, she will.